Okay guys, we're here again. Right now we're focusing on submission defense, and right now we're focusing on defending the triangle position. Again, the basic idea is when you're stuck in any type of submission hold, all right, you've got two ways of approaching the escape of those attacks. One is to force disconnection in some way. Normally call that a rotational escape, because you need to change the alignment of your body to some extent, create a wedge with some part of your body so that you can force disconnection. You can separate your bodies by creating a wedge or frame with some portion of your body. The secondary approach is generally called a stacking escape, where you use the top position and your ability to drive weight and pressure down into your opponent to crush the structure of the position itself. Right? However they're attached to you, if you lean on them hard enough or you compress their position hard enough, you take away the tension, and that gives you an opportunity to pull yourself out of the control. Okay? So we're going to have a look at here at that secondary approach. We've talked about learning how to create a looser position. Now that's not always going to be possible. Generally speaking, when my opponent locks his leg, okay, if I can keep my elbow on the far hip, as I twist my body, because I'm blocking his hip, I'm creating some type of frame with my arm. As I twist, I open up the triangle slightly. The problem is our arms aren't always going to be in strong position. Sometimes they end up in horrible situations here. And now when my partner locks and I turn, I can't break the position or I can't loosen the triangle. And I don't have much time here. So what I'm going to do here instead, and this is a really important detail, is my hand's going to come on the knee and my secondary hand comes here and protects my arm inside. Why is that so important? And that's something that we focus on here as well. I need to protect the arm that's on the inside. Because if my opponent can reach my wrist or my hand on the inside and they can control that arm, if I'm on the top here, they can start to stretch my hand away. And if they do that, I have other threats that are a big deal. So again, I protect the knee in the knee here. I protect my own wrist. And now I'm going to use my body weight to drive my hands and his knee to the mat. Once I've done this, I'm now isolating only one leg from the rest of his body. And I don't have to fight the power of his arms as much, because also if I stay square, he can use both arms to squeeze my hair. If I pull my head away from him, it's now very difficult for him to use both arms, and he can generally only use the closer side arm to make a pulling action. And now I'm going to drive my body inside. We talked about this before. Stacking. I'm going to push my whole body, come up off of my knees and push my whole body inside. Okay, the triangle position to open up the attack. Generally speaking, what I'm trying to do is actually push the hip, all right, by driving into the calf into a weak position. And as I do that, I break, all right, the control of his legs on my shoulders. The problem is here is we have a dilemma. Sometimes we will open a loose triangle, sometimes we'll break the position completely. If we break the position completely, a lot of the time there's enough space to move out of position and put our arms back into a safe spot, start the pass or whatever. But sometimes, as we get to this situation, driving inside doesn't break the grip of the legs and only forces that loose triangle posture again. Now the issue with this is if I move too aggressively to get out of position, he's going to get back to my head, he's going to start locking his legs up, and now I'm forced to go back into the same situation. So this is where I have to be patient and understand, all right, when it's the correct time to move. What I'm going to do here is one of two things. One, if my opponent's lazy, they're not aggressive, they're not creating lots of connection with their arms or my head, I can now force more disconnection. But because my arms are in a weaker position, I'm going to use my legs again. And again, I can use my leg on his butt crack, on his rib cage, and if I'm able to do that, I can force that disconnection and create a very similar scenario to where we've escaped before. The secondary situation is when my opponent really attempts to hold my head and neck. And he doesn't have the power here to finish, but he could potentially transition to another attack, and that's a danger for me. And if I'm not aggressive with my weight and pin my partner's hip and thigh to the mat, he might transition to another attack. He might go to my back. If I don't control him, if I'm lazy, he might go to my arm and start to pivot his hips to attack. So what I'm going to do is use my body weight on his thigh. So when he tries to move, he can't go to my back. When he transitions for the arm, I pin his hip and I stay connected to him when I don't move. And when my partner forces this connection to allow him to move, he pushes on me, up, he lets me move again. Because when he decides that he's going to force disconnection, he tells me, all right, that it's time for me to move again because he's not holding me. And when he's not holding me, I can move freely to escape the position.